Good morning. For class today, you are going to use the week 10 slides as reference. However, your major assignment is under module week 10, topic tracking. So after you do your attendance, you'll click on the topic tracking, click on the load in a new window, and you should have your own set of slides. What you're going to do, and your directions are on the second slide. However, I'm going to look at the example as I read through the directions. So on each slide you have a different topic. So these are theme topics. Remember, you use theme topics to later come up with a central idea statement. So you have your topic here, which is history, and then ultimately you'd want to think about what is the author's message about history. But we're not there yet. So what we're going to do is track the topics and the text. And what you'll do first before you read the new section of text today is look at the first post-it on the left, and you're going to review pages 155 to 175 alone or with one partner. So if you want to work with a partner, you can just private chat me and let me know which partner you would work with. Make sure that you agree on the partner because it's only one partner. You're going to find a piece of evidence to support at least 3 of the theme topics. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 theme topics: morality, truth or deception, guilt or regret, power and control, or fallen glory. And fallen glory, you see the definition at the bottom of the notes. It means having sunken in honor or glory. So you're kind of on top at one point and then that goes away. You're going to type evidence from pages 155 to 175. Make sure that you cite your evidence. So your evidence citation is the author last name, Canaan, and just the page number. So there's no comma, no PG, nothing, just the page number. So in this case, it was 157. So my evidence for history is 100 reveals. So I have a nice stem starter that's always nice to add. And then I have a comma before my quotes because you use a comma anytime you have a full sentence quote. And my quote is, I always noted this tablet partly to remind them of the great ambition and conquest that had been utterly forgotten centuries before they were born. And that's Canaan, page 157. After you do that, you're going to then read pages 175 to 182 and complete the same process under that next post-it. Oops. So I read, and again, I used a stem starter. Later, he states that because of the advances in our society, history had become little more than a relic. And if I look at that on page 177, I didn't know what the word relic meant, so I had to look that up. And it is an object surviving from an earlier time. So it made me feel like he was saying that the person, Ellerby, didn't value that. So again, like history is not valued. Okay, so after you complete your quotes, and hopefully they connect in some way, you're going to answer the so what question. So why are these pieces of information or evidence important? So you might determine an emerging central idea, you might make a connection, or you might describe how a character is developed or has changed. I decided to do an emerging central idea because we're going to be looking at central ideas later, so I feel like that's important. And remember, your central ideas are not text specific. It's the message the author wants you to walk away from the text thinking about. So obviously my topic is history, so I would expect to see that word in your central idea. So I feel like through Huntert's character, the author is trying to say that history, while important, is often forgotten, which definitely applies to the later part of this text, which we'll get to. Okay, if you struggle with central ideas, though, again, you can talk about characterization or make some kind of connection. Before we move on, I just want to talk about citing sources. So a few things. First of all, when you're citing sources, it's always good to start with a stem starter. At least that's what I call a text evidence stem starter. So you're introducing your quote. If you have a quote in a sentence by itself, so if I just started my quote that was in my interview and I was politely shown the door and didn't have a stem starter, that's not wrong, but it's not great writing. So one way that you can introduce your quote is using a relevant transitional phrase or word to help link your ideas. A lot of you come from 9th grade And you're taught to write things like the author stated, the text said. You can use those, but it gets a little overused. So thinking about better transitional statements is a good idea. So for example, therefore, hence, any of those words. So that's what's in blue. Again, you use a comma before your quote when you have a full sentence quote, and I'll talk more about that another day. Just a reminder, most of you know this, I haven't seen anyone really struggle with this, but quotations signal that you are quoting directly from the text, so your quote should come before you start your quote and at the end of the direct quote. And it should be copied word for word with correct conventions. So if there is something capitalized in that quote, I would expect to see it capitalized in your quote. So this I would not therefore be lowercase. It's one of my pet peeves is when things are written correctly in the text and people don't copy it correctly. And then finally, in pink, you see the proper MLA citation format. It includes the author last name and the page number only. There is no comma, there's no PG, no page, no number symbol, just Kanan, the author's last name, and the page number. Your period, you see right here, comes after your final parentheses. Okay, so hypothetically, if you had a period at the end of your sentence here, well, you can't have two periods in a sentence. So you have to delete this period and move it to the end. I always like to think my sentence is not completed until I have that citation there. Okay, so you move it to after that last parentheses. And look at me, I have a typo down here. Let me fix that. Okay, so I expect to see those citations done correctly on your little post-its. Okay, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask me. I am always here to help.